A Path to Mindfulness. Embracing Emptiness, my 7-day journey to inner peace. Welcome to Speech and Mind. In today's episode, I invite you on a personal journey, one that might challenge everything we've been taught about happiness, productivity, and fulfillment. Join me as I take on the challenge of mindfully embracing emptiness for a full week to discover whether it truly leads to inner peace. This is more than an experiment. It's a practice in being, without distraction, without filling the void. Let's begin. Part 1. The Modern Fear of Emptiness. In our fast-paced world, we're taught to fill every single moment. Constant notifications, endless to-do lists, an internal pressure to stay busy, even when we're exhausted. But what happens when we stop? What happens when we sit quietly and do nothing? We've been conditioned to fear emptiness, to avoid silence, to escape stillness, to fill every blank space. But the more I've leaned into mindfulness, the more I've realized. Emptiness isn't something to fear, it's something to explore. Let's pause for a moment and really take this in. We live in a world that constantly tells us to do more, to hustle harder, to stay connected, to never, ever stop. Productivity is praised. Stillness is suspicious. Silence, often uncomfortable. We've been conditioned to think that every minute must be filled with noise, with movement, with scrolling, swiping, watching, clicking. Have you ever noticed how quickly we reach for our phones the moment we feel a second of stillness? Or how we fill our schedules just to avoid being alone with our thoughts? That's not just habit, that's fear. The fear of emptiness. Because somewhere along the way we started to associate emptiness with lack, with loneliness, with failure. We say things like, "I feel empty inside." That conversation felt so empty. "My calendar is empty. What's wrong with me?" But here's the thing. Emptiness isn't the enemy. In fact, what if emptiness is actually an opportunity? A space for clarity, a moment for presence, a chance to breathe, reflect, and reconnect. But most of us don't get that chance, because we fill the gaps before they can even open. We keep busy not just to be productive, but to protect ourselves. To protect ourselves from what might rise up in the silence. Because silence, for many, can feel dangerous. It can stir up unresolved feelings, questions we've been avoiding, truths we don't want to face. But here's what I've come to understand. The more we run from emptiness, the more it chases us. The more we avoid stillness, the louder our minds become. And the more we fear silence, the less peace we can ever truly find. So ask yourself, what do I do when I feel empty? Do I rush to fill it, to fix it? Or am I willing to sit with it, even for a few minutes? Because maybe, just maybe, emptiness is not a void to be filled, but a space to come home to. A space where the noise fades and the truth begins to speak. Part 2. The Inner Void. We've all felt it. It shows up in moments of transition, after a breakup, after losing a job, after achieving something we thought would make us happy, but didn't. Sometimes it feels like a dark void. Other times it feels like a dull ache. We try to distract ourselves with work, social media, entertainment. But the emptiness lingers, doesn't it? Let's talk about that feeling. The quiet emptiness we sometimes carry inside. That strange hollowness inside. That quiet ache that doesn't seem to go away. It shows up when the noise dies down. Late at night, early in the morning, in the spaces between conversations, between goals, between distractions, the inner void. Some people describe it as a feeling of numbness. Others call it boredom, discontent, or even depression. It's that sense that something's missing, even when everything seems fine on the outside. You've got the job, the family, the friends, and yet there's that whisper in the background. Is this it? Why do I still feel empty? And so we do what we've been trained to do. We try to fill it with food, with work, with social media, with relationships, with achievements, with more and more and more. I've been there too. And I used to believe I needed to fill the void, until I tried something different. I tried sitting with it. The inner void is not a hole in need of stuff. It's a space asking to be heard, and the more we fill it with things, the less we understand what it's really trying to say. Because maybe the void isn't broken. Maybe it's a message. A message that says, you've been out of alignment with your truth. You've been chasing noise instead of listening to your heart. You've been moving too fast to hear what matters most. When I began to really sit with that feeling of emptiness, something surprising happened. At first, it was uncomfortable, like standing in a dark room with no flashlight. But over time, I realized the darkness wasn't there to hurt me. It was there to reveal something deeper. That void wasn't the absence of meaning. It was the space where meaning could finally arise. Because when you stop running from emptiness, you begin to ask deeper questions. Who am I without my labels and roles? What am I truly here to experience? What part of me have I been neglecting in the rush to be productive? And those are not easy questions, but they're real questions. And they're the ones the void wants us to ask. Here's the paradox. The inner void feels like a space of absence, but when approached with presence and care, it becomes a space of awakening, not to what we can buy or achieve, but to who we truly are beneath the noise. Part 3. My 7-Day Emptiness Challenge. I decided to spend 7 days intentionally embracing emptiness, not running from it, not fixing it, just being with it, fully present with mindfulness and compassion. Each day, I set aside time to sit in silence, reflect in my journal, meditate without a goal, avoid unnecessary distractions. Let me walk you through what I discovered each day. So if emptiness isn't something to fear, if it's not something to fill, fix, or escape, then how do we actually face it? How do we begin to relate to the void with openness instead of resistance? The answer is mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just a technique, it's a way of being, a way of coming home to the present moment without trying to change it, without judgment, without distraction, without reaching for something to do. It's not about doing mindfulness, it's about being mindful. And here's the powerful truth. Mindfulness is a portal, a doorway into the heart of emptiness. Because when we sit quietly, when we follow the breath, when we let go of needing to feel a certain way or fix anything, something begins to shift. We move from resistance to presence. We begin to realize that the emptiness we feared is not bottomless. It has a shape, a rhythm, a message. And as we sit with it, that message begins to unfold. In the beginning, it can feel chaotic, like all the noise we've been avoiding suddenly rushes to the surface. That's normal. That's the mind's detox. It's the backlog of thoughts we've been suppressing. But if we stay, if we breathe through the restlessness, a deeper silence begins to emerge. Not an empty silence, but a full one. Alive, aware, kind. It's in this silence that we discover something profound. That the emptiness we feared is actually spaciousness. It's not a void that consumes us. It's a space that holds us. Like the sky holds the clouds. Like the breath holds the body. Like stillness holds peace. Through mindfulness, we become explorers of this space. We begin to notice the tightness in our chest loosening, the racing thoughts slowing down, the ache of discontent softening into acceptance, and suddenly, emptiness isn't scary anymore. It becomes sacred. Mindfulness doesn't erase the emptiness. It teaches us to sit with it, listen to it, and even befriend it. And in doing so, we make a powerful discovery. That peace isn't found by escaping the void. It's found by entering it with eyes open and heart soft. Part 4. Day-by-Day Reflections. Techniques to embrace emptiness. You can adapt these to your real or imagined experience. Day 1. Restlessness. Sitting still felt unnatural. My mind kept shouting, "Do something!" But I stayed with the discomfort. Day 2. Emotional surfacing. Old emotions arose. Grief, regret, loneliness. Instead of pushing them down, I observed them like clouds passing by. Day 3. Breathing into stillness. I practiced deep breathing. Each breath anchored me. Each breath reminded me, I am here. Now. Day 4. Journaling my inner landscape. I wrote without a prompt. Thoughts flowed. The emptiness began to speak. Not with words, but with presence. Day 5. Surrender. I stopped trying to meditate. I just sat, and something shifted. The emptiness felt less like a void, and more like spaciousness. Day 6. Peace begins to emerge. In the quiet, I found clarity. Not solutions, not answers. Just peace. Day 7. Integration. I realized I didn't need to fill the emptiness, I just needed to allow it. So now that we understand emptiness not as a threat, but as a space of possibility, let's talk about how we can practice being with it. Because it's one thing to talk about embracing emptiness. It's another to actually do it, gently, consistently, and without overwhelm. Here are a few techniques that have helped me begin this journey. And remember, this is not about doing it perfectly. It's about cultivating presence. 1. Breath awareness, the anchor in the void. The breath is always here. It's constant, quiet, and grounding. When we feel empty or anxious, our breath often becomes shallow and erratic. But simply pausing and taking 3 slow, conscious breaths can shift our nervous system and reconnect us to the present. Try this with me now. Inhale slowly through the nose. 4 seconds. Hold gently. 2 seconds. Exhale through the mouth. 6 seconds. Feel how everything starts to soften. Do this a few times a day, especially in moments of stillness or discomfort. Let your breath become your friend in the quiet. 2. Silent sitting or meditation. This doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need candles or cushions or mantras. Just sit. Let the silence surround you. Let the thoughts come and go. Let the emptiness speak. Start with 5 minutes. Set a timer. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes and breathe. You might feel restless. You might want to check your phone, but just stay. In that stillness, there is wisdom. Let the emptiness become your teacher. 3. Journaling into the void. Sometimes we're not sure what we're feeling until we write it down. Journaling is a way to empty the mind onto the page. But more than that, It allows you to witness your thoughts without judgment. Here are a few journal prompts you can try when facing emptiness. What am I trying to avoid right now? What does my emptiness want to tell me? Who am I when I stop performing for the world? What would happen if I stopped trying to fix myself? Write freely. Don't edit. Don't analyze. Let it pour out. You may be surprised by what surfaces. 4. Embracing silence intentionally. We're surrounded by noise, much of it self-inflicted. What if, once a day, you chose silence? No music, no podcasts, no scrolling, just stillness. Maybe it's during a walk, or while sipping tea, or just lying on your bed, eyes closed. Silence allows you to feel, and feeling is the gateway to healing. Let yourself sit in that silence like it's a warm bath. It may be awkward at first, but over time, it becomes a sanctuary. 5. Self-inquiry and reflection. Ask yourself deeper questions, not to fix, but to understand. Questions like, what am I running from? When did I first learn to fear stillness? What might be waiting for me in the quiet? These aren't questions that demand instant answers. They're invitations to gently explore. Let your reflection become familiar, not as a problem to solve, but as a person to meet deeply. You don't need to fill the space. Just be with it. The more we lean into these practices, the more we realize that emptiness isn't emptiness at all. It's space, it's openness, it's readiness for truth to arise. Part 5. Insights and Shifts. My personal journey into emptiness. By the end of the week, something inside me had changed. I no longer feared the stillness. I welcomed it. The emptiness I once avoided became a sacred space. A space to listen, to rest, to reconnect. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to do anything to feel complete. This part is a little more personal. Because as much as I've shared ideas and techniques, the truth is, I didn't come to this understanding through theory. I came to it through experience. Let me take you back to a moment in my life when emptiness wasn't an idea or concept. It was a feeling, a deep one, a life disrupted. I had just gone through a significant change. One of those life moments that catches you off guard and rearranges everything. Your routines, your expectations, your sense of identity. It could have been the end of a relationship, a move to a new place, a loss I didn't see coming. And suddenly, everything I usually leaned on was gone or didn't make sense anymore. The days felt hollow. I remember sitting in my room one evening. No distractions, no plans, just silence. And in that silence, the emptiness was so loud, it was like a void inside me had opened up, and I didn't know how to fill it. I wanted to reach for something. Scrolling, calling someone, watching something, anything. But for the first time, I didn't. Sitting with the void. I just sat there. No music, no noise, no attempt to fix it. And I remember thinking, maybe this emptiness isn't the enemy. It wasn't easy. Thoughts came up, doubt, fear, regret. But beneath those thoughts, there was something quieter. A kind of stillness I hadn't touched in a long time. And in that stillness, something unexpected happened. I felt peace. Not the euphoric, Instagram-worthy kind of peace, but a soft, grounded knowing that I didn't have to do anything in that moment. I was allowed to just be. The shift. That moment marked a shift for me. From that day on, I began making space for emptiness. on purpose. 5 minutes of silence in the morning, walking without a podcast. Journaling not to find answers, but to let go of needing them. And I started to notice things. My anxiety softened. My creativity came back. I slept better. I listened more, both to others and to myself. But most importantly, I stopped fearing the quiet. I began to see that the space I used to try so hard to fill was actually where I was meant to meet myself. If you're in a season of emptiness, I want to tell you something important. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not missing anything. You're simply in a moment of stillness. And if you let it, this emptiness could become the doorway to your deepest peace. Let the silence hold you. Let the stillness shape you. Let the emptiness speak. Because it just might be the most honest voice you've ever heard. Part 6. Techniques you can use. Emptiness as a path to inner peace. If you'd like to begin embracing emptiness mindfully, here are a few tools that helped me. Mindful breathing. Take 3 to 5 slow, deep breaths. Feel the air enter and leave your body. Let each breath ground you. Silent sitting. Try sitting in stillness for 5 minutes each day. No music, no mantras, just presence. Journaling without judgment. Ask yourself, what does this emptiness want to show me? What am I afraid to feel? What might be possible if I embrace the silence? Self-compassion. Treat your inner emptiness like a wounded child. Don't judge it. Sit beside it. Hold space for it. After spending a week consciously sitting with emptiness, something became very clear to me. Emptiness is not a void to be feared. It's not a flaw or a sign that something's missing. It's actually a doorway, a threshold to a deeper kind of peace, one that doesn't depend on achievement, noise, or external validation. For most of my life, I believed peace came from having things figured out, checking all the boxes, staying productive, keeping busy. I feared stillness because I thought it meant stagnation, but now I understand. True stillness is not the absence of movement. It's the presence of awareness. In the moments I allowed myself to simply be, with no distractions, no to-do list, I experienced something quietly revolutionary. I felt whole. I wasn't chasing peace. I wasn't manufacturing happiness. I was simply resting in the awareness of what was, and that was enough. This shift didn't happen all at once. It came gradually, in moments where I let go of needing to fix the emptiness, and instead allowed myself to experience it fully. What I discovered is this: emptiness is not empty. It's full of potential, full of presence. It's a space where you can actually hear yourself think, where your inner wisdom can speak quietly and clearly. And that's where peace lives. There's a quote I love. Only in the silence do we hear the song of the soul. That silence, those empty spaces, are not gaps in our lives. They are our lives. They are sacred invitations to pause, reflect, and return to the present. When you stop filling the silence, you start to hear the truth. When you stop fearing the empty space, you start to see your life more clearly. Peace isn't found in the next achievement or the next distraction. It's found in your ability to rest in what is, without judgment, without grasping, without needing more. And so, my journey continues. Embracing emptiness isn't a one-time event. It's a practice, a way of living, a way of remembering that we are already whole, already enough, just as we are. So if you're feeling the pull to slow down, to sit with the stillness, to explore your own inner space, follow it. That pull is wisdom, and maybe, just maybe, on the other side of emptiness, you'll find the peace you've been searching for all along. Emptiness isn't the enemy. It's an invitation. When we stop resisting, when we stop filling every gap with noise and movement, we begin to hear the deeper voice within us. Not the voice of the world, but the whisper of the soul. So take a breath, be still, and remember, you are enough even in the silence. If you found value in this journey, please like and subscribe to Speech and Mind. Share your experiences with mindfulness and emptiness in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And stay tuned for the next episode, where we'll go even deeper into the practice of mindful living. Until then, be well, be present, and embrace the emptiness. Thank you for watching. Remember, stillness is not empty. It's full of possibility.